So the opposition leader, Mark Golding, decided to take it upon himself to provide much needed clarity regarding the US deciding to use Jamaica as a dumping ground. That probably sounds a bit harsh, but in a nutshell, that's what it is. The US deciding to use Jamaica as a place to send non-residents to in case they had any violations or anything. So what I actually find shocking is that this update was provided courtesy of a content creator, a TikTok content creator, One Clause. Kudos to you, my friend, for actually reaching out to seemingly what looks like your father. Because, bro, you can't tell me Mark Golding is not your father, bro. So I've never listened to this interview before. So we're all going to be watching together and see if we can actually get some much needed clarity, because this situation is shocking to even think. People, let's take a listen and see.
To this story that emerged at the beginning of the week when the Gleaner ran a scoop. They had received a copy of an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between the US government and the Jamaican government for the creation of an arrangement whereby the US would be able to send third country nationals, TCNs, meaning persons who are not citizens of Jamaica, would be sent to Jamaica. Persons who the US want to leave their country would be sent here, and issues around that. Now, we have never had any such arrangement before. We receive our nationals when other countries don't want them to be there any longer. We have an obligation to receive our nationals, and we're accustomed to that.
I kind of find it shocking that he's saying that the information came from a memorandum. So the Gleaner actually broke the story. So it seems like this was something that was kind of being kept hush-hush under the carpet. I haven't heard from the current Prime Minister, Andrew Holness, as yet. I don't know. We're going to learn. We're going to listen and see if we can actually figure this thing out together, people. Let's listen.
This, of course, is totally different. These people have nothing to do with Jamaica. They don't want to be in Jamaica. They're really, presumably, want to be in the US, but the US doesn't want them for whatever reason, and they're not lawfully there. America wants to get rid of them. Apparently, it's convenient for America to be able to send them to a country like this one, rather than send them to their home country, because maybe the system in America and the rights that people have and the way the courts function, it would take a longer period. And if they can just send them down here and we deal with it, I don't know, because we don't really know the true rationale behind this. And that's one of the big problems with this thing. The whole thing is just clouded in too much secrecy. First of all,
Okay, MJ. Honestly, before I thought that the opposition and the current PM were actually in cahoots. It's something that they both agreed upon. Because I was saying, why I haven't heard from the opposition? You get me? But yeah. All right, MJ. All right.
That it emerged through a leak to a newspaper indicates that had that not happened, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, because we probably wouldn't know about it.
Facts.
And, that is a bad start for a matter of national importance, which everybody is very concerned about. And then we've had all these conflicting explanations on critical things. So, the Minister of National Security has spoken to the media and spoken in Parliament, indicating that this was an initiative which arose from a request from the US, and he's said that there are no benefits to be derived, there's no quid pro quo, as he put it. There were no inducements, positive or negative. I specifically asked him that in the House of Parliament. He said nothing like that. They're our allies, they're long-standing friends of Jamaica. They wanted this...
So you're trying to tell me that there is no benefit to the country? It is more like, it's like a kiss-up type of thing, like, all right, US is the big dog, so we kind of kiss up to them to try to get a favor. It's like a IOU situation. So US probably can look at it and say, okay, Jamaica did me a solid. So yeah, in case of anything, we'll probably return the favor. Are you crazy? People, this is madness.
Arrangement, and we are facilitating them. But the Gleaner ran another story that they had received a copy of a diplomatic note, which is a formal communication in writing from the US government to the Jamaican government, in which it was said that it was a minister of Jamaica's cabinet, a minister of government, Senator Audrey Marks, who had gone to a security conference in Florida in March and had raised with the US officials there the possibility of entering into a third country national arrangement with Jamaica. And even a number was quoted in that diplomatic note. I think it said 10,000 people. So there you have a conflict between what Gleaner is reporting as the contents of a diplomatic note, which one would expect to be accurate, and what the minister responsible for immigration, which is the Minister of National Security in Jamaica, is saying was the origin of this transaction. So that it doesn't inspire confidence on something like this, especially when under our system, when you speak as a minister in Parliament, you're expected and required to speak the truth. You can't obfuscate, you can't lie. Lying or misleading Parliament is a parliamentary...
I need somebody to correct me if I'm wrong. Can that minister, regardless of the seat that they hold, can they go and make or negotiate on behalf of the country without actually seeking counsel, without actually getting the go-ahead from the current PM? That sounds kind of strange to me that a person would just take the initiative to say, okay, here's a brilliant suggestion and actually bring it to outside company without actually negotiating it internally first. That sounds weird to me, people. Is that the norm? Somebody tell me in the comment section right now, because that sounds... Yo.
Violation for which you can be sanctioned.
Hold on.
Can't lie. Lying or misleading Parliament is a parliamentary violation for which you can be sanctioned. So it's a very serious matter. You know, now we're hearing from Nationwide, for what that's worth, that the US government officials had threatened to start cancelling or revoking the visas held by Jamaicans if the Jamaican government didn't enter into this arrangement.
What?
So that is also inconsistent with what Minister Chang told the country in Parliament.
That there was no negative or positive
No
inducements
positive
in the deal.
inducements or negative inducements, no benefits, just a request which we as a friend and ally acceded to. So there's no clarity on this issue. They're saying they're not going to table the MOU in Parliament, which we had requested. So it doesn't look like we're going to see that document. And the way in which it works and so on, you know, we're going to have to rely on what we're being told. But how can you rely on what you're being told when there's so much inconsistent information from credible sources contradicting the official narrative of the minister? So it's a highly undesirable situation, and people are up in arms about it.
I recall
People, this is even more serious than I thought, because imagine the opposition leader, right? A person with, you can say, the highest peer grade, right? So they're privy to certain type of information. I would think it would be at least 50-50. Maybe Andrew Holness will definitely have a lot more say so. But in my assumption, I'm thinking that certain things would have to pass the opposition leader's desk first, right? Or else what would they oppose? This makes no sense to me, people. So you're telling me that Mark Golden is completely clueless towards this matter, right? So if he's clueless, imagine the citizen of Jamaica. Yo. I don't want to say corruption or anything, but we're going to listen further.
this proposition which was made by the UK government to the Jamaican government in, I believe it was 2015, where they offered to build a prison in Jamaica to house deported Jamaicans who were convicted of crimes in England. And then we would also be given a certain amount of money to upkeep the prison as well. And that deal was soundly rejected.
It was. Well, it was controversial. I was in government at the time when this was being discussed. Jamaica has 2 maximum security prisons. Both of them are overcrowded, and both of them are kind of way past their shelf life. You know, they're buildings that have been around for centuries. And it's been a subject of adverse commentary in the reviews of Jamaica's human rights performance before the UN Committee on Human Rights and so on. And we know that we need a more modern prison, which is fit for purpose, where people can be rehabilitated, so that the high rate of recidivism is the word, meaning prisoners who return to society and then offend again and end up in prison again, that rate in Jamaica is high. And part of the reason for that is because the prisons are really not suitable for rehabilitating persons. Efforts are made, but they're not successful largely. So this idea was that this prison, which was the UK government was going to make a substantial contribution to the cost of it. What they wanted in exchange for spending that money here was that Jamaicans who were in prison in England and were approaching the end of their sentences
and scheduled for deportation
and would be deported on the completion of their sentence on release, would spend the last year or so, I think it was, of their sentence here in that facility, and then they would.
Hey, shout out to One Clause. I can't call him a TikToker because he's more than that. I believe he's on the radio as well. Shout out to him, man. Kudos to you, One Clause, definitely, for taking this initiative and for being the one who actually, you probably pull some strings with your father or your uncle or whosoever, Mark J, is to you, but you can't tell me say there's no relation, bro. But anyways, big up to him because local media, I thought local media would be all over this, and so far we haven't gotten any clarity. This is the first time I'm actually hearing the entire argument being discussed.
Be an assimilation program for them so that when they came out, they could start a new life here. That became highly politicized at the time, and it was never pursued.
Now, in light of rejecting something like that and agreeing to something like this, I have to ask, has there ever been any bilateral agreements that we've had with any other country that's ever been similar to this, or is this completely unprecedented, this MOU that allegedly has been signed?
I believe this is completely unprecedented. I don't think there's ever been anything like this before in Jamaica. And you recall the British government, the previous one, the Conservative government under Boris Johnson, and then a brief one with Rishi Sunak. There was another lady in between Liz Truss, but she only lasted a few days.
A week,
yeah,
maximum.
Yes. So they have an issue with migrants coming to the UK on boats from France and claiming asylum, and the British government wanted to send those people to Rwanda and wants to enter into an agreement with Rwanda, who would house these people and process their asylum claims there rather than them staying in the UK. And that matter was taken to court on behalf of those people, and it went to the highest court in England, which is now called the Supreme Court in England. And the court ruled that that was unlawful. And so it has never been pursued. So, and in the US, my understanding, based on what I've read, is that the question of these third country national arrangements, a case was brought in federal court in Massachusetts by, I think, 8 persons who were facing the risk of this. And the judge said it's unlawful under US law to do this. And the US government is appealing that, and it will go to the Supreme Court, but it has not yet been heard. So there's a big cloud of uncertainty as to the legality of this arrangement. It's unresolved in US law, and that's another reason why I would be very concerned about this, because if Jamaica enters into an agreement and facilitates and receives persons from other countries who are sent here against their will, and it turns out that under US law that is unlawful, we could have what's called accessory liability to those persons for a breach of their rights. And supposing something happens to them here, because Minister Chang says that they're going to be free to roam all over Jamaica. And again, it's rather odd because presumably America's getting rid of these people because they're undesirable. Yeah, and there's a video going around where the Secretary of State a few months ago was saying it's the worst of the worst who are going to be sent. Although Minister Chang is saying they'll be screened and we're not taking any serious offenders and so on. But again, the lack of clear information
and the resource, it's going to take a lot of resources just to even do that type of screening for 10,000 people. You probably have to hire new personnel just to handle that portion of it. So why would Jamaica take on that responsibility just just to kind of kiss up to the US. It makes no sense to me. And then what's the legality behind it? Can a person actually go around Andrew Holness and make deals behind his back and it still be legal? And we still have to uphold it? Hopefully Mark Golden can provide some clarity around that. Maybe it was just a verbal agreement, but maybe in Parliament, verbal agreement is strong enough where they have to uphold. I don't know. We're going to figure this thing out.
Transparency, the kind of hide and seek approach to how this thing is being handled by the government makes it very, very unclear and very concerning to us. And so, from my perspective, they should not have entered into this MOU at this time. And I noticed that the Trinidad and Tobago government hasn't done it. I don't think Barbados has done it either. Because until the legal thing is settled, you don't know what you're getting yourself into by entering into it. There's no discernible benefit to Jamaica from doing it. So, my inclination would be, while I accept that the US is a close ally of Jamaica, they're our major trading partner. We have a massive diaspora there. We've had good relations with America from independence, and we want to maintain that. All bilateral arrangements must rest on principle. That's Jamaica's foreign policy, has always been. As a small, independent country, we don't have any big army, navy, and air force to protect us. We rely on international law and the normal rules that govern how states deal with each other, which are based on principles. So for us to just accept an arrangement for which there's no discernible benefit from Jamaica, an arrangement which is currently under a legal cloud,
Madness.
I'm not comfortable with that.
Me
Especially
too.
the way it was done, where it was not disclosed by the government. It was leaked to a newspaper, and we've been playing catch up ever since with conflicting information coming out on a daily basis.
Poppy
It's a
shooting.
highly undesirable
Poppy
state
shooting.
of affairs.
Is the MOU that was allegedly signed, because again, it hasn't been tabled in Parliament and they refused to table it.
Yes.
Is this a binding permanent agreement that is scheduled to go through, or is
Good
there
question.
still deliberation? Can it still be stopped in the last minute? What is the next step that the people of Jamaica can be out?
Good question, class. Good question.
The Minister, Chang, in Parliament told us on Wednesday this week, today's Friday. It's not a problem, is it, to date the interview?
No, that's
All
fine.
right.
That's fine.
Yeah, good. So he told us on Wednesday that it was signed last week, Thursday, by him. It has no definite term. So
So it's indefinite.
it's an
then?
indefinite arrangement. However, he said that either party can pull out of it
Okay,
if
at
they
any
so
time.
if they
Okay.
wish. And there are some mechanisms in it that would allow us to pause, us being Jamaica, to pause the flow of persons here in the event that the numbers become overwhelming. Because based on what he said, there should be no more than 10 of these returned, or these persons transferred here, who have been here for more than 30 days at any given time. So we'll see whether that is enforced or not by the Jamaican government. The next steps, he said, are the operating protocols have to be worked out and finalized. He said that those would be disclosed when they are done. And he didn't give a time frame for how long that would take.
Do you have any information to give to the people as to where they would be staying and who would be footing the cost of them staying here?
Well, he has said that they're free to go wherever they want.
Where?
I
Free to go where? These people don't have families in Jamaica, yo. So you're telling me that they're free to roam, and I can tell you 1,000% people, anything happens to any one of those people who are sent down. I don't understand why Jamaica would actually take this type of responsibility for free. There is no benefits that anybody can think of. I'm here talking and I can't think of a single benefit more than to just say, oh, I'm an idiot. Dump them here. This makes no sense to me.
assume that when they arrive here, some accommodation will be provided for them. He did say that the US government would be providing resources to the IOM, which is a UN body that deals with migration and migrants, and that money would be to defray the costs associated with this for a limited period of time. So if somebody comes here, the intention is that they will then leave and go back to their home. And what Minister Chang said was that based on the experience of these arrangements over the last few months elsewhere, the rate of persons who do leave is quite high. However, it's quite possible that some will say, no, we don't want to leave, or we can't leave. And at that point, they're not America's problem. They become Jamaica's problem. And we then have to deal with that through some legal mechanism, whether it be deportation, or if they claim asylum, we will have to process them in accordance with the laws that relate to refugees and so on. So we are taking on some risks in doing this. There are risks that the persons, though we say we're going to screen them for criminal records, there are many people who are criminals who don't have a criminal record, right? You might say the most effective criminals don't have a criminal record.
True.
So you could be receiving people who are dangerous or who are involved in serious illegal activities, and you don't know.
And then they're going to come to Jamaica and set up shop. Start inviting all their cronies over to Jamaica. Say, hey, Jamaica is ripe. New territory. Yo, chaos on the Jamaican soil.
And then there's also the possibility of, as I said earlier, accessory liability, meaning Jamaica facilitating an arrangement which is in violation of those people's rights under US law. We don't know what the US law actually will be held to be by its final court, but we do know that it's being contested now. So we're taking on a serious risk by entering into this at this time.
Now, we don't have a public sex offender registry. When I see that people are going to be coming into Jamaica who have been deemed undesirable by the United States, I really wonder what kind of people are we accepting into our country? How are we going to be able to protect our most vulnerable people against the worst potentialities?
That's right.
What's being done to assure the people of Jamaica that we're not going to be accepting just anybody?
Yeah, good question. Well, we do have...
There's no way to tell. The only way to properly screen these people is to actually pull inside of a database. It's going to have to be like, they're going to ask the US to send whatever records they have. And chances are these people are actually probably have records in their home country outside of the US. So you literally would have to check multiple countries just to get a full scope of these people's background. Madness.
Have a sex offenders registry, but it's not universally accessible. In order to access what's in it, you have to have what would be regarded as a recognized interest in that information, that it's somebody who's seeking a job with you or seeking to be a member of an organization that you're involved in, something of that nature. So, and I'm not sure, and my suspicion is that it would not apply to persons who are not convicted of a sexual offense here. And indeed, some of these people may have been charged in America and then deported before conviction, and they might not have a criminal record in America either. So this is another potential risk. And of course, as I've said, the government is relying entirely, as I understand it, on the screening process that they say will be undertaken to ensure that these people speak English, that they are not children, that they're not Jamaicans, and that they're not, they have no criminal record for any serious criminal offense. That's what the only safeguard is, the screening process.
Now, this comes on the back of Jamaica and Cuba absolving their decades-long arrangement and agreement to have Cuba send medical practitioners and to also educate Jamaicans in Cuba to become medical practitioners. I really wonder why we have rejected our brothers in Cuba and the Haitians who come to seek asylum in Jamaica. But we are proposing, allegedly, we're proposing to our...
Yo, this guy Claus is full of... Yo, you need to sign up to become a part of the parliament, bro. In my opinion, wasted talent right now. You can tell that the younger generation, based on his questions, these are the type of people that we need in parliament, yo. One Claus, big up yourself, yo. Definitely.
Accept undesirable people by America's standards.
Yeah.
I really think, and I wonder what's going on in terms of that, and why that was the case in the first place, and now we found the ability to accommodate other people.
Yeah. The inconsistencies that you highlighted are,
Bro, these are questions that Andrew Holness should actually be fielding, not the opposition leader. You know? So right now it's like Mark Golding is in the hot seat getting these type of questions that Andrew Holness is supposed to be answering. So sometimes I won't even get caught up in the whole political aspect of everything because I don't know exactly who is the best person for the job. But I can definitely see the effort of Mark Golding. Definitely, people. Can't go around it. 100%.
very difficult to grasp. In the case of the arrangement with the Cuban government, this goes back, this has been going on for decades.
Over 50 years.
Yes. And it's funny because my father was on a team of doctors that was sent by the Jamaican government to Cuba at the very outset to review the standards of their medical system to see whether it was appropriate that an arrangement like this should be entered into. And they came back and they gave a report. And of course, the standards are impressive. And that is when we started this program. And the Cuban government has, been providing doctors and other medical service technicians and what have you to Jamaica for decades ever since. And the reality is that these doctors often go into areas of Jamaica which are underserved communities. You know, it's not every Jamaican doctor wants to go to a deep rural area and to go and run a clinic. The Cubans are willing to go wherever they're needed. So for the termination of that arrangement was a very unfortunate situation, especially since the government had not put in place any alternative to replace these persons. They're now scrambling around.
I see they signed a deal with Ghana.
They've signed, but how many will come and when will they come, we don't know. But this is all as a result of the gap that's been created by these Cuban doctors no longer being available here. You mentioned the Haitians, now, I mean, Haiti was the first independent black republic.
The first country to ever have a successful slave revolution that ended in their self-determination.
Correct. And they were the subject of a scandalous transaction where France required them to pay reparations to France
for their enslavement.
Yes, for as a condition of being recognized as a state internationally. And the government of Haiti at the time felt it necessary to take on that debt. So important was it that they be recognized as a state. And they were paying that money back for over 100 years.
Damn.
And it has contributed heavily to the underdevelopment of Haiti and the poverty and problems that they have. Now, when their people come here, some have been able to mount asylum claims, which, again, Minister Chang in the House said those are being processed. But we know that the vast majority of them are turned around and taken back by the Coast Guard of Jamaica to Haiti in as short a period of time as possible. So, when you compare how we treat them and how we've treated the Cubans with how we're responding to this request, if it was indeed a request or whether we initiated this request, government is denying that now, but the diplomatic
It's still unclear.
Still unclear. It doesn't sit well, I think, with many Jamaicans,
Definitely, people, yo. It's definitely, in my opinion, a kiss up to the big boys. 100%, there's no other way to look at it, people. So this interview is a lengthy one. I won't play it all. What I'll do is try to link, I'll add a link to my description to the full video. You guys can check that out on your own time. But yeah, honestly, people, what's your thoughts? Right now, I'm still confused as hell right now. Believe me, I'm still confused as hell. I need to hear from Andrew Holness himself. To this date, I haven't heard anything from Andrew Holness about the matter. Maybe someone in the comment section can tell me if he's actually made any kind of statement. But I need to hear from Andrew Holness about these people. But definitely, people, drop it in the comment section and tell me your thoughts. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you see any benefits in this? I don't know, people. This is pure confusion and madness and even borderline corruption, if you ask me. So, people, once again, thank you for watching. My name is Wiz. I'm out.